word of the day is ballot. And in real life, a ballot is something that you would use to like vote for, like a governor or a president, right? You fill out a ballot. And in debate, this picture is a real example of a real debate ballot. Ballots in debate basically are feedback from the judge. Remember, file, make a copy, everybody. So, debate one, have this be the only thing on your screen. So not only am I going to teach you about ballots really quickly, but your tournament prep today for every single one of you except debate two, you're going to be looking at real ballots from former debaters so that you see how you're getting judged before you get too far into the process. So think of a ballot as the official score sheet that judges use to help judge you and to give you feedback. Ballots also are how scores are calculated. So at the tournament, there's kind of like the brain of the tournament is the headquarters. And that's one of the many, many things they do at headquarters at the tournament is they're receiving the hundreds and hundreds of ballots and inputting the paper ballots into the software they use. And then that software helps them calculate all the scores for the winners. So look in the examples. You'll get ballots back the day after the tournament. That's basically what we do in class. The day after the tournament, we have to sort through the ballots because each one of you are going to have 3 ballots. And so that's a lot of paper. And then you get time to look through your feedback. So that's really what happens the day after the tournament. Look at number 2. It's really important in examples. So I read through the ballots really carefully because it's how I give you your assessment grade, which remember is a 300-point assessment. Almost everybody does just fine. LD and policy, you're trying to win one round. Oratory, remember your speech has to be 7 minutes and 30 seconds to 8 minutes. And then extemp, you have to have 3 speeches, 3 minutes each, 3 pieces of research each. That's how you get that 300 assessment points. And I look at all the feedback the judge gives, and that's how I help to decide who gets their 300 assessment points. So this is cool information for you for the future. If you look in the third number in examples, we pay judges $10 a round. And not only because we're trying to get them to actually show up, but also because we want them to help you get better. That their feedback is really helpful. If you look at that first sentence, ballots are meant to help you improve before your next tournament. So every once in a while, you'll get a judge who doesn't care quite as much, which is always a bummer. But we try really hard. Sometimes we fail, but that's one of my jobs that I usually do at the tournament is I'm in the judges' room with all the judges, and I'm one of the people who receives the ballots. And if one of the judges doesn't fill the ballot in correctly, or they don't give you enough feedback, we're like, hey, we're paying you $10. Go give them more feedback. So that's for you. That's good information because when you're in high school, you can come back into our middle school tournaments and make an easy 30 or 40 bucks. Plus, we feed judges a bunch of pizza and candy. So it's kind of a cool thing. Plus, there's always a trickle-down effect in debate land. Like, college students usually judge high schoolers. High schoolers usually judge middle schoolers. And you guys, if you want, at the end of the year, will have the opportunity to go judge some of the elementary kids, which is really fun because they're tiny but vicious. And it is really, really entertaining. So that being said, we'll skip. Well, actually, no, let's look at one of them just really quick. So I'm going to teach you the basics really fast of reading a ballot. So I want you to do this with me. But then your whole assignment today, we're going to take a break from everything else, and you're going to look at some real ballots from other Albion kids. So go ahead and just click policy. I want you to kind of see what ballots look like really quick. So there's a couple of things that you'll get really used to. But the first thing, look over here in the corner, guys. See how it says NCX? That means it was novice policy, because that's the acronym for policy. Usually the start time is not actually accurate because usually things go a little bit slower than what the start time says. It says the room that they were in. And then you'll see that I whited out personal information. But because policy is a team of 2 versus a team of 2, that's why there's 4 boxes. There would have been a name right here, and right here, and right here, and right here. And then right here it says who was the winner, which I whited out the names, but you can see the affirmative was the winner. And then this circled part is called speaker points. We'll talk more about speaker points in the future, but speaker points are basically tiebreakers. It's how, like, if you've got, for example, let's say we had 50 affirmative teams arguing against 50 negative teams. That's a lot of winners. So how do you break all of those ties? That's why speaker points become really important. And then in policy, the judge also ranks them. This was the first best speaker and the second best and the third best and the fourth best compared against each other. And then when you scroll down, there's a bunch of information over on the side for the judge. There's the time limits and stuff like that. But then judges are supposed to give you lots and lots of feedback. Sometimes you get unlucky and you have a judge with horrible handwriting. Sometimes you get really lucky and the judge will even write on the back, right? Let's go look at an oratory ballot, though. So come back to the vocab chart, because speech ballots look very, very different than debate ballots. Lincoln Douglas, your ballots look almost exactly like policy. It's just instead of 4 spaces, there's only 1, right? Because it's 1 versus 1. But then extemp and oratory look very similar. So you can open up either one of these. I'm going to be really honest with you. These are a little bit old. Hold on.
Please pardon the interruption, but if we can have all students with a purple slip go down to the
which is nobody in our first.
Yeah. Chromebooks. Students, take your Chromebooks with you.
Yeah, no.
And teachers, please excuse those students with a purple slip to go to the media center. Thank you.
Nope, that's not a best. Okay, so the oratory ballot has been updated, and I didn't have time over the weekend to update all these pictures. I'm going to in the future, but that's okay because I have a huge stack of ballots from first semester that I'm going to have you look through the updated version, but at least the top is kind of similar. So again, it tells you what type of ballot it is at the top corner. So we've got oratory. Usually it will say novice or varsity if it is a tournament where there was novice and varsity. Then all of this stuff is stuff that the judge kind of checks you in with before anything gets started. So you've got who they are, what their the title of their speech was. You've got the judge's name, and usually they'll put what high school they're from. The code is always silly to me. The code is randomly assigned, and you would think that it would make sense that Albion would be A. We usually aren't. It would be helpful if we are, but that's just randomly assigned by the software. Like you can see if we go look at one of the policy or LD ballots. Oh, I might have whited it out, but sometimes next to a person's name, you'll see like a dash and then their name. Yeah, I whited them out. Okay. So then on oratory and extemp, they'll tell me exactly how much time you spoke for. Then we give them space to write feedback. It's a little bit different for oratory and extemp. So there's all this feedback. They tell you right here, this is what gets entered into the software, that this person got ranked first, which is a big deal out of the 5 competitors that judge saw. But then, like in oratory and extemp, you might have 8 or 9 judges who all had a first place win. So you also have speaker points because those are the tiebreaker. And then sometimes on the back, and you'll see these when I have you look through it later, there's a rubric on the back where we help judges break it down even more. So for right now, does anybody have questions about ballots? And I actually recommend that you wait on the You Try box for just a minute, because I'm going to have you look at so many examples in just a minute that you can easily steal an example from the like paper examples. So go ahead and kind of keep this open for a second, but go open up today's tournament prep. And you can see it says we're on number 16, and all of us are working on ballots, except debate 2. Although debate 2, I'm going to be really honest, as I was going through the recent stack from last semester, I was like, dang, there's like so much good information. And all the ballots I chose were ones that the judges did a good job giving feedback. So if I was debate 2, I might even spend a little bit of time today kind of sifting through some of your competitors, right? And just kind of getting extra information, because you're kind of spying on your competition, and that's never a bad thing. So for the rest of you, you're going to deal with ballots today for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's going to help you realize like some of the things you have to do to be successful. That's the first step. But it also then has the same kind of effect of you're spying on your competition. So it's really important on today's tournament prep. It's slightly different for all of you, but it's really important that you go through every step super carefully. Because for real, if you skip a step, you're just not going to be as successful. So none of the steps are difficult, but I do want you to go a step at a time. And all of you, it's formatted the same. It tells you exactly what steps to do. There was Lincoln Douglas. Oratory, same thing. You've got several steps, but it's specific to oratory. Extemp, you've got several steps, but it's specific to extemp. So that being said, all of debate 1 is going to need headphones for some of these videos. And after you're done with the